IGOROK. This guy is amazing. Say that most of the characters, they've got strengths and weaknesses. This guy only has strengths. He's so awesome, they can't even fit him inside the screen right here. They're only getting, most of him is just his awesomeness is just leaking out of there. So he's magical, he's armored, he takes less damage, he's a tank, but he does massive damage. And his skill that he uses is amazing. We'll get to that one in just a second. Say, there's one major downside for him, and it's that it's very hard to get a hold of the tokens. Those, I think I'm only going to be able to get those through gem rolls or with the scrolls. At this point, there doesn't appear to be any other way to collect those. On one of the pop-ups that goes in between screens, it mentions that he has the highest attack and defense stats of anyone in the game, given the same levels. And that comes across pretty clearly with his attack and defense, and even his health is incredibly high, so he does really well. I would say at this point he's probably the best character in the game. Look at his traits. Cannot be frozen, which is great. Freezing in general is an awesome status to have. His skill that we'll come to that freezes his opponents, and that basically just makes them lose an entire turn, if not 2 turns, for each character that's affected. So that's a great thing to have, and very nice to be able to resist that. Chance to freeze on crit, and that seems to happen fairly often. We've got his crit chance at 11%, and almost every time he has a critical hit, I see he does try to do to freeze the opponent. Now, if they have some resistance, then it could be blocked, but it ends up happening a lot. It works really well for bosses, because even at 11%, and a lot of times you get some other team buff, ups that percentage even higher, you can end up freezing that boss over and over again, and really helping out the team. And then taking less damage from physical attacks. I'd say a large portion of the attacks in this game are physical attacks, and the magic-based attacks are usually lower, at least in the ones that you're dealing with in the PvE. When you do PvP, then it's a little different story, but still, having a huge amount of health and then armored, it's really hard to take him down early. Especially hard to take him down before he gets his first chance to use his abilities. And with that, let's go to the abilities. Polar Pounding. It's amazing. So, you get to hit everyone on the other team with just about the highest base damage attack for a multi-person hit spell that's available, and there's a chance to freeze, and that chance to freeze seems to be 100% minus their resistance, so it's a very high chance. As long as they're not dodging it or having some resistance, then you're going to land freeze, and many times using it in PvP, you'll freeze the entire other team, giving you a whole turn to just take out whichever players or whichever parts of their team would do the most damage. So very, very strong character. The only downside is that it's really hard to ascend him, and also hard to increase his star level. But he's already so powerful that he'll likely be on your PvE team. He'll also be a great defender for PvP on your dungeon, and he's a great attacker. So for attacking other people's dungeons, basically guaranteed to be on your team for each one of those spots.